In the first round of last year's NFL draft, Lukas Van Ness was the pick for the Green Bay Packers. Last year, Lukas Van Ness was mostly just a rotational player, and in some games, he didn't really even take many snaps at all. And this year, he is a starter, but he's still technically a rotational guy. Of course, the Packers have arguably one of the best defensive lines in the NFL, but Van Ness has been very, very, very solid. And today, we're going to break down this guy's tape. We're going to break down and kind of talk about why he's such a hard player to block for so many offensive linemen. On top of that, some of the development that he's taking, where you see plays like this, where he's able to absolutely beat up on a very good tackle here in Talisia Fuaga. But you just see it, right? You see the impact that he's ultimately having out there. And again, he hasn't even played 400 snaps yet, but you're seeing a lot of plays like this, where Van Ness is able to utilize either a bull rush, and if it's not the bull rush, he's able to turn that into a second pass rush move. And this is part of what makes some defensive linemen better than others, because they understand that one move is not going to win it 100% of the time. You got to have a counter to that bull rush. So Van Ness has power, right? We know he's able to take these guys backwards. He's able to absolutely toss these guys. But in order for him to be a successful defensive lineman, that bull rush has to have a counter. And here is what that means. He's going to bull rush to basically give this guy a ghost move. So he's going to essentially go from power to speed, and that's going to work. Because the second this guy starts to hit people with the bull rush, these offensive tackles are going to try to lean forward to stop the bull rush. And you can see it with Talisia Fuaga on this one. As soon as Lukas Van Ness hits him with the bull rush, look at Fuaga not only lean forward, he's going to dip down a little bit. And you can see that as he's leaning forward, as he's dipping down, that Van Ness also kind of recognizes this. And then he's going to end up just hitting him with the speed move towards the outside. And with that, he's going to get to the quarterback. And the pass is going to fall incomplete. But these are the little things that Lukas Van Ness has developed in his second season. And it's allowing him to have success, right? He's generating pressure. He's getting after the quarterback. He's forcing incomplete passes. And he's coming up big when the Green Bay Packers need him to ultimately come up big, right? And to me, Van Ness is one of those guys that's still very, very raw. So the fact that he's able to add more to his game means that he has a ton more upside, right? He has so much more potential than what we have right now. And you're seeing this guy utilize technique to win. Here's another example where you're going to run a defensive line game. He's going to end up getting locked in with the center, and then you're going to see him just swim over the center. Now, when you watch tape of Van Ness, you know that power is real. You know that power is going to come at you, and you know you got to be able to anchor down against it. And that's what a lot of these guys do. You see even Olu Oluwatimi, the starting center of the Seattle Seahawks, lean into it. You're going to see him standing upright. He's going to dip. He's going to lean forward. And as soon as guys do that to Van Ness, he understands that when someone leans forward, you can just swim over the top. And that's exactly how Van Ness is starting to win. This guy's recognizing what people are doing to stop his bull rush. And again, if you don't lean forward, if you don't anchor down, if you don't brace for Lukas Van Ness's power, then what ends up happening is he's going to toss your ass backwards. And we've definitely seen Van Ness do this a lot as well on tape, right? Where he's able to lock in with guys and ultimately just walk them right back into the quarterback. He's able to utilize that power, and he's able to be disruptive. He's able to force quarterbacks off their spots. He's able to cause pressure and just be a good football player out there, kind of helping the team win. But again, do not overlook the fact that Van Ness is developing his pass rush plan, right? He's developing how to beat guys in the NFL. He's using his hands and his quickness. He's getting off blocks. He's utilizing different moves, and that's allowing him to have success. Here's another one. On this one, he's going to utilize a chop move, and then he's going to take that chop and he's going to rip, and it's going to work. It's effective. And the quarterback, as he's going to look to the left to throw this, is going to feel that pressure a little bit. So what Van Ness does on this one is he's going to get the left hand into this offensive tackle, and then with that, he's going to also chop with the right hand. And as soon as he chops, he's going to rip. Now, the chop and rip is not that effective, right? Truth be told, this could be done a lot better. It could be a lot more cleaner. The chop doesn't really land perfectly at the same time. The rip move's not very effective either. But because of the fact that this guy's so strong, it doesn't have to be perfect right now, right? He can still utilize that strength. If he's able to hit this guy with 75% of the chop, and I'll show you guys what I mean by that. When you chop, you want to hit the wrist area, essentially. And on this one, he's going to end up hitting the arm closer to the elbow, right? Closer to the bicep, and he doesn't actually hit the wrist. Now, that's not a big deal. This is something you develop, right? The timing of these pass rush moves is something you develop. At the same time, the rip move isn't very effective either. He kind of just puts the hand in there as opposed to actually ripping up the arm. But because he's strong and powerful and quick enough, he's able to hit that corner. He's able to generate a little bit of pressure on the quarterback. But again, Van Ness just has to continue to fine tune the pass rush technique. And this is something guys do, right? Sometimes it takes guys 2, 3, 4 years to really fine tune it and get to the point where it's consistent and you're able to win consistently, utilizing those different techniques and those different moves. Now, another thing to realize with Lukas Van Ness is he's probably going to be on a similar trajectory that someone like Trayvon Walker, Tyree Wilson are kind of on. Trayvon Walker's in year 3, and Walker looks a lot better this year than he's looked ever in the past. Walker's becoming a true force for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Tyree Wilson's kind of in the same boat as Lukas Van Ness, but I will say, I do think Lukas Van Ness is a lot further ahead in terms of the pass rush plan, because Van Ness actually knows how to utilize his hands. Tyree Wilson hasn't really put that together yet. But I'm pretty confident in saying this. Lukas Van Ness in a couple of years is going to become a really, really good football player. It's just a matter of time until it fully clicks for him. And then I want to end this video just kind of talking a little bit about his run defense, because I think that's where Van Ness is his biggest asset right now is his ability to defend the run.
Now, before we go forward, I want to just take a second to give a big shout out to the sponsor of this channel, because this content would not be possible without Underdog. If you guys have never utilized Underdog before, trust me, man, you guys are missing out. I don't do traditional fantasy sports that often. I did do one league this year, but generally speaking, I'm not really doing it anymore. And that's mostly because of Underdog. Underdog has this game that I really, really enjoy. It's called Pick'em. Essentially, you're going to go out there and just make picks that you think are going to be right. They'll have pretty much every pick you can think of for every player, and they have multiple categories as well. So an example would be, I think Aiden O'Connell is going to throw for 125 yards. And you're essentially just going to pick higher on that, right? I think he'll have more than 125 yards. You might say, hey, Dak Prescott's going to have at least 2 touchdowns. I'll pick higher on that. You might say Caleb Williams is going to have a rushing touchdown. And some of those stats also give you multipliers, right? So usually for quarterbacks rushing it in, right? That's something most quarterbacks aren't doing every single week. You'll get like a 4x multiplier on that. So depending on the multiplier, depending on how many picks, you can turn $5 into $400, $1,000, right? Whatever it ends up being. Obviously, it depends on the multiplier, but Underdog to me is one of those places that I pretty much do every single week at this point. Very fun. It makes like watching the Jets and the Dolphins without Tua. It makes them interesting, right? So check out Underdog. If you guys have never used them before, it is the best place. Trust me when I say that. Go to underdogfantasy.com, use my promo code that you guys see on the screen, or use the app. I recommend the app. So let's get right back into the content.
I think one of the things with Van Ness is the fact that because he is strong, you have these guys that are trying to, potentially backside block him. And it's hard. You're not going to be able to stop him unless you really, really stick to him, especially on zone concepts where you're trying to essentially just stop him. You're trying to cut him off. On this one here, the tight end obviously confuses that the tackle is going to stick to Van Ness, while the tackle was ultimately trying to pass this off to the tight end, and Van Ness just runs right through it. And the fact that you got, I think that's Brooks, jumping the A gap and essentially resetting the line of scrimmage, that forces the running back to ultimately stop, which allows Van Ness to kind of blow it up. But in my opinion, this guy's become a true force in the run game, right? He does so many different things, and it's very, very hard to ultimately stop him. He's disruptive, and I think one of the things with Van Ness that we got to realize is having that ability to disrupt the run game, disrupt the timing of plays. It's very, very important, and this is a good example of that. You're running essentially what is counter towards the left, but this play is meant to actually go inside of that left tackle. So based off of the way the left tackle blocks, we know that this play is supposed to go to the inside of him. I think the entire point was to get either Penei Sewell through the gap there, or maybe looped around here to pick this guy off. And of course, for the running back to take this into one of these gaps. But again, that's not going to work because Van Ness sees the tackle's blocking outwards. So anytime an offensive tackle blocks outwards, the play is going to be to the inside of him. And Van Ness is going to end up jumping to the inside. Now, I think this is designed. And with that, as soon as he jumps to the inside, he's going to rip, and there's just going to be no lane. And that's because Van Ness here blows it up from that side. So that's a really, really good job right there by Van Ness. I don't think the play would have ever worked anyways. Quay Walker basically goes unblocked as well within this play. That's just a really good job right there by Van Ness to be disruptive, to be able to recognize the play, recognizes the tackle blocking out. And I just want to say this, if the tackle here ends up going directly to Quay Walker, which is how you run these plays sometimes, then Penei Sewell would actually take Van Ness. But that's not how this play was designed. It was an inside run, not an outside run. Just wanted to kind of point that out. Van Ness, very solid against the run, very hard to move at the point of attack. And you see that on tape pretty much every single week. This one's going to be a zone run, and Van Ness is going to be on the front side. Look at him reset the line of scrimmage, get through there, and blow it up. All right, the first element of this, he's going to make contact with the tackle. He's going to lock out, and you're going to see that right away, right? You can see him bench press this tackle, really hold the outside gap, not allow any movement to happen. And as soon as he sets the outside gap and he realizes the running back is running to the inside, look at him rip through this and get off the block. That's a really, really good job right there by Van Ness. He's going to get in there, stop this play for no gain. Just a really, really good job. Here's another one where the Rams are going to try to run a dual-based concept where they're going to insert the tight end. And you're going to see, once again, Van Ness just straight up blows it up. Again, physical, powerful at the point of attack, gets off blocks, knows what he's doing. And he's very, very strong, and you see all that on this guy's tape, right? To me, I think Van Ness has a ton of upside. He has a ton of potential. And let's just be honest, the Green Bay Packers know how to draft, right? We've seen this year in, year out. These guys are stealing guys that are, second, third, fourth, fifth round picks. And they're guys that are producing and having success in the NFL. And I think there's a really, really good chance Lukas Van Ness is also going to kind of fit that same mold, right? You can see the upside. You can see the potential. This guy's a very good football player early on in the second season. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, consider subscribing. We're obviously covering the Green Bay Packers on this channel. We will be doing weekly videos basically going forward. And if there's any player specifically that you guys want to see, drop a comment down in the comments below. We'll definitely get into it. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time with another video.